Hi there, it's Louise with you of Timeless Craft Mama, and today I'm sharing a scrapbook layout process video created for Colour Blast. Now I've gone with something just a little bit different, so slightly mixed media, but what I wanted to do was challenge myself to actually use some of the Colour Blast products in a slightly different way. So the one I'm actually going to show you today is the paste, and the paste is actually going to be the title for the page. So I've chosen a photo and I had an idea of what I wanted to be the focus of this layout, and that was the title. So I really wanted to highlight my boy, and his name is Zeus, and his time spent wearing the cone of shame. So I have created this shame word by using the silhouette cameo. I've cut it multiple times and I've just trimmed it and layered it on top of each other so that it actually shows like a chipboard sort of piece, and that's going to be incorporated with the other elements of the title. So I wanted the title to be the focus with the photo, and also to have the title be slightly different. So I didn't want it to all look the same. Now what you can see I'm doing here is I'm coating these chipboard triangles, and they are from A to Z Scraplets. Firstly, I'm giving them a coating of just blue, and I've heat embossed that to dry. Then I've given them a coating of Singin' the Blues, and what I wanted was to try and get a colour that was sort of close to the background, so the colour that you can see beneath the white cardstock. So it's not quite a navy, but it's not a dark blue. It's quite an unusual colour. So that was what I was aiming for. Now, when I chose the chipboards, I didn't actually choose them with the idea of backing them with paper. But as I'm watching this page develop, that's where it's sort of going. I really felt like it needed something behind those chipboards. And I thought about using one of the Colour Blast mediums, so like a stencil with paste and things like that. But as I said to you, I really wanted to try and challenge my normal scope of how I actually use the products. Now I'm cutting the last triangle out of the center of that piece of cardstock so that I can actually reuse that again later on down the track. So it may look a bit funny on film, and if you're watching this with no sound on, then you really are going to find it quite an interesting process. But certainly that was the reasoning for that. Now, a little bit of black gesso adds a great frame around the white cardstock, so nothing too technical there. I've got this sort of star theme going on, and I'm looking at my background going, okay, what do I want to do? Again, I don't want to use the same techniques that I've always done, so packaging, paste through a stencil, things like that. So what I'm going to do is actually freehand draw these stars and sort of create my own background. Now, I wanted the stars to look kind of messy. I didn't want them to all look the same. They didn't have to be perfectly symmetrical or anything like that. And then what I'm going to do is use the Colour Artist inks, and I've chosen Calypso, and that's actually going to be painted into those stars. So using different levels of the Colour Artist inks will let you sort of get a different shade of color. So if you use lots of color, it'll be quite dark, but if you use a small amount of color, then it'll be nice and light. So they're really quite versatile. Now here's where my title comes into its own, and this is not something I've tried before. I wanted to try and see how the paste would go as a sort of an acrylic paint, and what I've done is just taken a little bit of the steel paste and I've mixed in some water, grabbed a paintbrush and tried to paint it on. But essentially what happened is, because it didn't all mix with the water, the texture part is still sort of coming through on the actual title. So I really like how that came out. It's sort of this semi-textured, semi-painted, sort of semi-acrylic, if that makes sense, title, and I really like how it looks. And I wish you could feel the layout in real life, because it actually does have a sort of semi-textured feel, and you can see the different variances of the shades of colour on the actual title. So I'm really happy with how that's turned out. Now I'm looking again at, I've got my title going on here, I'm telling a story, what else am I going to do? So I decide that I'll use a little bit of cotton and pop some stickers over the top. Off camera I've gone and attached everything to the layout and finished off. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to get yourselves some of those Colourblast products, and of course if you haven't done so already, please subscribe.